Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
An independent investigation will soon get underway into sexual misconduct allegations made by a former Metropolitan Transit employee against Nathan Fletcher. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Matt Hoffman, in for Maya Trabulsi. That announcement came today from the MTS Board of Directors, of which Fletcher used to be the chair. KPBS reporter John Carroll has the story.
The decision by the MTS board came after a nearly 2-hour meeting held behind closed doors. When they emerged, acting board chair Stephen Whitburn delivered a statement.
We will begin the process of selecting the outside counsel and beginning the investigation immediately. It is the board's intent that the findings of the investigation will be made public.
The investigation will center around allegations made by former MTS public relations specialist Grecia Figueroa. She contends Fletcher groped her on 2 occasions and pursued a sexual relationship with her for 2 months. She was fired on the day Fletcher announced his candidacy for state senate. Fletcher has admitted having what he called a consensual affair with Figueroa, but has denied the assault and harassment allegations. Figueroa says it was not an affair, but was simply sexual misconduct. MTS had denied knowing anything about the situation until last week, but this letter would seem to suggest otherwise. It's from Figueroa's law firm demanding Figueroa's employment records. It mentions sexual harassment allegations and potential retaliation. Problem is, it's dated February 17th. Whitburn insisted the board did not know about the allegations until the lawsuit was filed, which led to an obvious question.
Are you saying then that it's conceivable that someone in the MTS structure got the letter and didn't inform anybody on the board?
We have, as a board, decided that we are going to hire an independent counsel specifically to help us understand some of the questions that are being asked.
As we've reported, Figueroa has intimated in her lawsuit that board member Sean Elo Rivera might have known what was going on with Fletcher. Elo Rivera was unrestrained in his denial of that.
I'm pissed and I'm disappointed. There's a lot of feelings that I have, but I had no idea that any of that was going on.
Among the many questions left unanswered is when the investigation meant to get those answers will be concluded. Acting Chair Whitburn would only say the investigation will be expeditious and thorough. John Carroll, KPBS News.
We've heard from some Republicans, but now at least one Democrat is calling for Fletcher to resign from the Board of Supervisors immediately. In a tweet today, San Diego City Council member Vivian Moreno said, quote, his misconduct has revealed that he is not fit to represent San Diegans in an elected role. Nathan Fletcher recently dropped his state Senate campaign for the 39th district, but another prominent local politician is announcing her candidacy. Aquila Weber is already serving in Sacramento as an assembly member. Now she says she'll pursue the state Senate seat that will be vacated by Tony Atkins, and that's due to term limits. That's the 39th congressional district, or 39th state Senate district. It includes much of the city of San Diego, Coronado, and Solana Beach. The White House is blaming the rushed withdrawal from Afghanistan on the Trump administration, but acknowledging that President Biden waited too long to begin evacuations. That's according to a summary of several classified internal reviews sent to Congress today. A Trump spokesperson told a conservative news site that the Biden administration is trying to gaslight the American people over its role in the withdrawal. The Republican chairman of the House Oversight Committee said a hearing will be held later this month. Sean Van Diver, the San Diego Navy veteran who co-founded an Afghan resettlement coalition, says he welcomes congressional oversight, but that lawmakers could act now to alleviate some of the consequences of the rushed withdrawal.
Right now, the most important thing that Congress can do is pass the Afghan Adjustment Act Congress has talked a lot, but they haven't done anything yet.
More than 100,000 Afghans have resettled in the U.S., but most are here on temporary parole status. Affordable housing could soon be coming to the coast of Del Mar, which would help the city fall in line with some state housing requirements. But as KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer tells us, the plans are getting some pushback and alternative options. San Diego County's tuberculosis control program is notifying people involved with various Father Joe's programs about a possible TB exposure. The affected programs include Father Joe's Inclement Weather Shelter, San Diego Day Center, Food Services, Employment and Education Services, and Village Health Center. The dates of the potential exposure are from January 14th all the way to March 3rd. The county says Father Joe's clients, staff, and volunteers should go get tested.
We're going to make sure that all clients have a mechanism for getting tested. Father Joe's is making sure that all their employees have a way to get tested.
Most people with active TB are often unaware that they even have the disease, and they may be contagious for several months. Symptoms include persistent cough, fever, night sweats, and unexplained weight loss. Leaving an abusive relationship is not easy, and for many people, embarking on a legal process to seek divorce or child support can be intimidating. But as KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne shows us, a nonprofit in Vista is helping men and women on every step of the way.
Measuring just under 5 feet tall, you wouldn't assume Ana Serrano is the force that she is. She says in her line of work, there's no room for sugarcoating.
Because it's easy to say, ay, pobrecita, you poor thing. Oh, yeah, he's such an ogre. Oh, terrible. But how is that going to help her? You're keeping her or him in that place of feel sorry for me.
Serrano is the founder of the Vista nonprofit Las Valientes, or the Brave Ones. The organization helps men and women through legal issues that allow them to leave abusive relationships and thrive. She has been running the program for 22 years after her own experience with an abusive partner.
When I was going through the abuse, I had no clue there was even help out there. I didn't know. Even after my ex-husband put me in the hospital, I still went back to him. I didn't know there was help.
She says that's the case for many men and women, especially when language is a barrier.
They don't know where to go. And sometimes they've gone to court and they ask, do you speak Spanish? No. Okay, go over there. And they point, go over there. Okay, so they go over there. Do you speak Spanish? No. Oh, go over there. So they go over there. Do you speak Spanish? No. Oh. And then by the time it's all said and done, they're frustrated and they just go home. And they go back to the abuser sometimes because it's like, well, couldn't help me at court.
All of the staff at Las Valientes are survivors of domestic violence and now help others.
They've lived it. They've survived it. They understand.
They know that dealing with courthouses and lawyers can be intimidating.
The attorneys are expensive. I work with several who are very, very good, and I know their retainer fees are not that expensive. But even their low prices can be a lot. We've seen the need out there.
Las Valientes fills that need and has helped thousands of women like María Isabel Montes.
Y es la cultura que le inculcan a uno desde chico.
Our culture instills in us that marriage is forever, but it's not. It's really not. It's forever when it's a healthy relationship, when there's respect among each other and one helps the other. But when that's missing, the healthiest thing is to cut ties.
And Miriam Flores, who left an abusive relationship in 2007 with her 4 young children.
It was like a lot of up and downs for the first few years, and then, it's a journey. It's a process, and then I met my husband now.
Through her healing process, Flores found love again, someone who was also getting out of an abusive relationship.
He was getting out of a situation and fighting for his kids, and he had to to fight against other stigmas against men, that men, this is unique to women, men are usually the perpetrator, and that brought us together.
Flores says leaving her first relationship was hard, but she's glad she did.
And it's hard to move on and let go, but just know that there is support out there, that you're not alone, that it's not happening only to you, that you have nothing to be ashamed of. And I think places like Las Valientes is one of those outlets to help a lot of people out there.
And that is why Serrano started the organization in the first place.
And that's why I do what I do. Am I tough? Am I hard? Yes, because I love them and I care about them. And I don't want to see another woman get beat up because she doesn't know there's help. That breaks my heart.
Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Tanya's story was included in today's San Diego News Now podcast. It's a mix of local headlines and some original reporting from KPBS. You can stream it anytime, wherever you get your podcasts. Weeks after a deadly school shooting in Nashville, some Democrats in Tennessee's State House are on the verge of losing their jobs. It's all over how they protested lawmakers' lack of action and how Republicans say their tactics crossed the line. Laura Aguirre has more on today's vote.
Hundreds of protesters at the Tennessee State House showing support for 3 Democratic lawmakers facing expulsion by their GOP counterparts for this. Representatives Gloria Johnson, Justin Jones, and Justin Pearson joined gun reform demonstrators at the State House last week. A call to action sparked by the murders of 6 people at Nashville's Covenant Elementary School last month. Republicans accused the 3 Democrats of violating House decorum and procedure rules.
I, for one, would like to see whatever video, so before I vote on any motion for expulsion, that I can see video of exactly what occurred on this House floor.
But if you're showing a video where we were in the thrust and the heat of what was happening that day, you're going to go right back to how you felt that day. Now, that does not give these men and women a chance.
Debate rolled on after lawmakers watched the video from the House floor demonstration that day.
I walked up to the well and we were pushing our people. We brought a megaphone because you cut our people off. You cut their representatives off from the microphone. Time after time after time.
Among the crowd, strong support for the Tennessee 3.
Stand up for our representatives that care enough to put their jobs on the line to do the right thing.
We're failing our children. Guns in schools, guns everywhere.
The American Civil Liberties Union of Tennessee calls the potential expulsion an extreme measure, one that would strip voters of representation by the people they elected. I'm Laura Aguirre, KPBS News.
People across San Diego are rushing to install solar panels before the incentives change. Solar owners receive money for excess electricity created by their panels, but soon the amount that they're credited could drop by an average of 80%. However, customers who apply before April 15th can still qualify for the previous state incentives. HES Solar says they've never been this busy in their 22 years in business.
Some of our energy consultants are working 7 days a week, many hours a day, and everybody's working overtime just to try to get everything done.
It was now or never, so we finally made the decision to do it.
Even after this incentive change, the California Public Utilities Commission estimates that the average solar customer could save more than $100 every month. That's after regaining the costs of installation. We've been enjoying these sunny days after weeks of warm weather, but as we spend more time outdoors, it's important to remember to throw on some sunscreen. Ivan Rodriguez has more on what to look out for and how to keep yourself safe.
Some words of warning and advice from actor Hugh Jackman this week.
I've just had 2 biopsies done. I just went to my doctor and she just saw little things, could be or could not be basal cell. And trust me, this is all stuff that happened 25 years ago. It's coming out now.
Jackman has been treated several times before for skin cancer. Thankfully, his results have come back negative this time, but the warning remains. According to the Skin Cancer Foundation, 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer by the time they turn 70. And the 2 most common causes, exposure to the sun's UV rays and tanning beds. But how does the sun affect our skin? Dr. Sanjay Gupta explains.
The squamous cells and the basal cells, they lie there in that epidermis. That's what can be affected by sun. They can be mutated and they can turn into cancer. You also have another type of cell known as melanocytes. If they become mutated, that can turn into melanoma.
Besides wearing sunscreen with a high SPF, make sure to do routine checks of your body. If you notice something unusual, remember A, B, C, D, E.
A is that lesion or mole asymmetric? Borders, that's B, irregular in some way. Is the color changing? That's the C. And then diameter is D, is it growing in size? And E, evolving, meaning is it changing in some way?
Remember, protection from the sun doesn't mean zero fun. Take it from Wolverine.
Put some sunscreen on. You'll still have an incredible time out there. All right? Please be safe.
Ivan Rodriguez, KPBS News.
We have some pretty pleasant weather in progress across much of Southern California. A few cool days. There will be a big change when it comes to Sunday's weather as temperatures nose upwards, especially in the interior. So we will have a warmer day on the horizon, and really pleasant dry weather continues in through at least early next week. There are signs that the dry season is beginning to set in Southern California pretty well. We have a small chance for just a hint of moisture, maybe sprinkles later next week. Remains to be seen. We'll keep an eye on things, but no precipitation of confidence that we can speak of this far south in view at this point. Tonight, mainly clear skies, 52 degrees, looking good out there. Nice and nippy into Ramona, 41 degrees. Borrego Springs, 52. Mount Laguna, 37. Campo, 34 for your low tonight. El Cajon, mid-40s. Friday, pretty nice day. A hint milder just into the interior, but marginally warmer temperatures for some. We're going to be real close to where we've been across the San Diego metro for the next day or two. And you can see showers, even a little bit of northern Sierra snow in the forecast. Way to the north, mainly San Francisco and points north. Futurecast really does keep that well north, decisively so. So through Friday, we look good. Nice, pleasant weather out there. No complaints for us in San Diego. And the regional forecast here for our Friday, closing out the week, El Cajon 72. It's in the city. We're dealing with a 66-degree high. Oceanside 66 degrees as well. And a little toastier into Borrego Springs. Atop Mount Laguna 49 degrees. A little cooler there. Pleasant weather prevails for Saturday. Again, we do get a little warmer on Sunday. We'll begin to see that here with our forecast. At the coast, we're not going to see much of a change, but we'll jump up to around 68, about 3 degrees of warming from Saturday to Sunday. It gets a little more pronounced. 5 degrees of warming Saturday to Sunday into the inland areas, and we'll also find a little bit more of a pronounced rise as we head into the deserts in just a moment. But for the mountains, here we rise from 49 Friday to 52 Sunday. Still pretty cool. 55 on Monday. So a little bit of a warming trend there for the hikers. And here we're jumping up pretty nicely from 84 early this weekend to 90 on Sunday, and then 95 on Monday. A little bit of a taste of spring heat in the deserts. I'm meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
We want to get back to that story on proposed affordable housing in Del Mar. Here's KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer. Sorry about that. We just heard that we'll feel a bit of warming trend in recent days. It's a reminder that spring is here and more people are traveling. Pete Munting tells us how the nation's airports are dealing with a shortage of some of their most critical workers.
The latest challenge for your next trip is not enough air traffic controllers to keep flights moving. In a new notice, the Federal Aviation Administration is allowing airlines to scale back summer service at New York's 3 main airports, warning staffing shortfalls could amplify delays by 45%.
We need more controllers.
Richard Santa of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association says staffing shortages swelled during the pandemic due in part to retirements and a hiring freeze. A union analysis shows the number of air traffic controllers has has dropped 10% in the last decade. The FAA says nationwide, 2 in every 10 controller jobs are empty. A key air traffic control facility in New York is roughly 1/2 staffed.
We are critically staffed in most of our air traffic control facilities.
The new admission comes after airlines delayed more than 500,000 flights last summer and put some of the blame on the FAA.
It was tight before the pandemic, and they don't have enough people today, and they need more.
We are continuing to hire.
FAA Acting Administrator Billy Nolan says the agency plans to add 1,500 new controllers this year and 1,800 next year. The agency says last June it was flooded with almost 58,000 applications to become an air traffic controller, though its training academy remains backlogged. The relief can't come soon enough for airlines and passengers, with another huge travel rush on the horizon.
The system doesn't have the capacity. We don't have enough air traffic controllers.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the Biden administration releases its review of the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. That's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
KPBS Theater Corner kicks off its 3rd straight season tonight. The interview series is hosted by Michael Taylor. It's dedicated to promoting diversity and inclusion, both on the stage and in the seats. One of the guests on tonight's season's opener is Stevie Agnew. He's director of lighting at the Old Globe and one of the few black lighting directors in the industry.
It's possible that you may be the only black staff member at the Globe now and management. What are the roadblocks for people of color to make it to the back of the house?
Yeah, the Globe, we just hired a director of equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So I think we're the 2 in management right now. And I manage a full-time staff of 5 people, and then a part-time staff varies between shows. Sometimes it could be 20 to 30 people. But I mean, I think that roadblock is we don't know that there are other things behind the camera. I think that's the big hurdle is everyone sees a person on stage and you forget there are other jobs that you can do that are behind the scenes. And then getting into that field and finding that niche because it's so people driven. So if you don't make a connection with people, it's hard to move forward. If you don't have that connection with the director, or the choreographer, or with the company per se. So it's about building those relationships and finding a way to get through the door.
Theater Corner Season 3 debuts tonight. That's at 8:30 p.m. and then it's available through the PBS app to watch anytime. The Aztecs' historic March Madness run ended this week, but as KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us, this is just the beginning of the benefits of making it to college basketball's national championship.
This year, we didn't lose a basketball game in March. Every game in March we won, which is unbelievable, and we won a game in April as well. So amazing to see what this is going to do for our men's basketball program, amazing to see what it's going to do for us as a coaching staff moving forward and the things we learned. But the number one thing we will take from that is that we belong and that when we go, we're going to expect to win.
The Aztecs may not have won this year's national championship, but their appearance is going to boost not only their basketball program.
We have a national relevance now because we played in a national title game, so I think it will be to expand our recruiting base, not only on the West Coast, but I think we'll be able to recruit throughout the United States and possibly internationally.
But the entire university will benefit.
The university is affected by Final Four runs. There's no questions about it. I mean, the admissions, the applications for admissions, I should say, it will just go through the roof. We've seen it with other teams like the VCU, Wichita State, Butler, you know, teams like that, Loyola Chicago, teams that have gone to a Final Four. It's absolutely affected not just the men's basketball program, but the university as a whole.
According to SDSU, there has been an 88% increase in SDSU webpage views and a 59% increase in traffic to their admissions page. And most notably, the school received an equivalent of $200 million in free advertising.
I think everybody should benefit. That's the way it should be, and I'm happy that that's the case.
This run will also affect a new part of college athletics called NIL, where an athlete can receive financial compensation for the usage of their name, image, and likeness. SDSU's NIL was not high. But now,
hopefully we have a better NIL situation at San Diego State for our players, for our future players, for all student athletes at San Diego State. And it's important now. And it's something that we can't control as coaches, but we know that it's a part of, athletics now in general, and especially in men's basketball. So it's going to affect, hopefully, in a very positive way.
The city loves getting behind a winner, and I think everybody enjoyed the ride that we were on, and I think we'll see that moving forward into next year. I think there'll be a lot of excitement around, the games and ticket sales and things like that.
The respect level that San Diego State will have now, and we'll always continue to have a chip on our shoulder. We know what our grassroots are. We know where our foundation was built. But at the end of the day, the respect that we just earned, and again, it wasn't given, it was earned over all these years.
Melissa May, KPBS News.
The party's not over yet for the Aztecs men's basketball team, and fans are invited to this one. A celebration is planned for Saturday night over at Snapdragon Stadium. Gates will open up at 6 p.m. with the team arriving around 6:30 before the official 7:30 start. Tickets are free, but they must be reserved online. Final Four merchandise and concessions will also be available. Here's a look at what we're working on tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. The nation gets another status check on a key part of our economy. NPR's Morning Edition will have details on the March job report. And this week's KPBS Roundtable focuses on a story that's been developing all week long, the pending resignation of San Diego County Supervisor Nathan Fletcher. That airs Friday at noon on KPBS Radio and can also be streamed as a podcast. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.